Welcome, everyone, to Book Club. We are welcoming tonight Justin C. Key. Justin, I got sent his book, his short story collection in the mail, and I was like, yes, I will read this. We'll see if I can blurb it. And I immediately was like, oh my God, this man can write. I have an uneasy relationship with horror, but this book completely sucked me in. And so today for you, we've got just one short story, and it's the title story of the collection, The World Wasn't Ready for You. So, with that, I'd love to welcome Justin. His stories appeared in Magazine of Science fantasy and science fiction, cross genre. He's a psychiatrist, which maybe is why he can do such amazing things to my brain. Justin, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me here. It's such an honor to be able to be here and to be honest, just to be on your radar, because like I said, I listened to writing excuses back when I was just really starting out and was just kind of absorbing all things about the craft and how to be a writer, etc. And, your advice was a constant in my brain as I kind of tried to sit down and see what it is that I had to say, in stories. So, it's a full circle moment for me. So I'm excited to be here.
Well, this is delightful for me too. Yeah, you are a hell of a writer. So, for folks who are just joining us, the way we handle this is it's for my Patreon. The first 20 minutes, the stuff that you are seeing on YouTube, that is all spoiler free. We're going to talk about craft. We're going to talk a little bit about the story, and then for my Patreon folks, we're going to go deep into the story because they have all read it. So, um, talk to me about kind of the genesis of this story. There are parts of it that are very clear. But I'd love to hear kind of how it developed in your mind because it's obviously referring to some current events, but it also has this entire additional extraterrestrial aspect uh, going on.
Yeah, so the first thing that prompted me to write the story was actually like a call for an anthology. It was a parenting anthology,
Mm.
science fiction and fantasy parenting anthology called Don't Touch That. And yeah, so I have three kids, 10, 9, and 4. So they've been a big part of my life. And, I was a writer before I was anything. I tell people that in terms of before I got married, before I went to med school. But obviously, the life experiences have, made it into my writing through time. But that was the first thing. It was like, hey, you know, how would you like to write a story about parenting? And then that's usually how it starts for me. That one was a prompt, but usually it starts with like, okay, some idea or something that I want to write about. And then, okay, what angle do I want to come from? And I think that being a parent has been just it's been one of the best things, but one of the most anxiety inducing like experiences, I think, in my life. Just because, most of my life I was about like, making sure that I did well and success means this and that. And then you have kids. It's like, how do I like give them a happy life? And I can do so much, but like, how's the world going to interact with them or what have you? So I knew from that, I knew I would have like it'll probably be some deep things I think to say about parenting. I mean, at the time there was a question of, okay, do I make it light? Do I make go for like something that's more humorous? But I think there had been a lot of things that I had been, uh, either contemplating or kind of evaluating. And right around that time, there's the pandemic, so
Yep.
all at home, they're there with me. And I wrote this, I think, towards the end of 2020, beginning 2021, like in terms of like the
Mm.
draft or what have you. And my youngest was born August of 2020.
Oh,
So
wow.
so yeah, then so that was so I knew I was going to write a parenting story. I'd always been, I've always loved like alien stories and just the thought
Hmm.
of aliens, like even since as a kid, thinking about like consciousness and what it means to like to exist and like what are other ways of consciousness out there. So I think I landed pretty quickly that, okay, I might want to do an alien story. And I think that coincided with, okay, how do I talk about this anxiety of kind of the world, how the world is going to see like my kid,
Mm,
right? And I didn't want it to be, it's speculative fiction, so it's science fiction fantasy, so that gives the door to do something like that, but also didn't want it to be like too on the nose. I didn't want it to
hmm
be something that somebody's already going to like have opinions about, right? Like they're going to come to the story and already be like, these are my political leanings, this isn't for me. So I think that, science fiction and fantasy or speculative fiction like really gives us the opportunity to do those things and say like, okay,
hmm
I'm going to make it so that the other is this, this alien race, right? And then that allows me even I think to bring in the, not to bring in like prejudices with the character that maybe even people can kind of relate to in some way and just saying like reflecting in their own ways that they've like learned to see the world and the only ways that they might have like fallen or what have you. So that was like the genesis for it. And I'm a pantser, like Stephen
Oh,
King.
I was wondering.
So I read his On Writing in 2007, when I was halfway through college, and for better or
Hmm
worse, it's been like imprinted, and so I start with an idea and then I explore, and particularly in this story, just in how the structure ended up, it particularly allowed me to start with, okay, an idea or a scene, because I think that's how I started with like, okay. I want to start with this parent interaction, what it may look
hmm
like. And then as I'm going through that, then some of the aspects of, okay, what is it? What is this kind of alien race? What are the attributes? And how does that play into how the parent is interacting with the child? And then it kind of grows from there. And then, then I'll get into later what like actually making it into a coherent like story and bringing out themes and all that stuff, how that looks for me. But that was a genesis. Somebody asked for a story and it's also good, I think, to start being in that part of writing career where, getting out of the slush pile and like having
Yep.
people be like, hey, do you want to write a story for this? And I did not have time, but I'm like, yes. I mean, I just,
Yes.
you know,
Right.
baby just born, still in residency.
Oh my
Um,
goodness.
it's like, let me make something happen.
So you just weren't sleeping.
No comment.
Um, so I think we can talk about this without going into spoilers, but it is a nonlinear story. Did you, was that something that happened during the initial draft, or did you reorder it later after it was as part of revisions?
There was reordering, but it started off nonlinear.
Okay.
And one of the things is I've like, you know, grow in writing that I found that I like to do and that I'm, also trying to be like really responsible about it is pay homage to the stories that I think have really affected me.
Hmm.
And, so for example, I really love like A Story of Your Life by Ted Chiang and just the
Yeah.
idea of like, being like being able perceiving time in a different way.
hmm
So, it's something that I find fascinating, and still find fascinating. And it's like, okay, what are things I like this element? How can I, play with that element, but also, not take somebody else's baby or try, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I think that part of that and being able to do that, how I did that was through the structure of the story. Like,
hmm
like, what if I can kind of give different time piece? And it also, so it was from the very beginning, and it also helped with this kind of idea of showing like some of the background story or like some of the events before that then informed, what you're seeing kind of a little bit before. And I think it turned out pretty good.
It
It
did.
is written better than I can explain it, but my purpose at that time was I love having that experience with books, whether it's or movies, or whether it's like the reveal where it's like, oh, they were this makes sense now, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
I like having that where kind of like those things in a non-linear way like come together. So very early on, getting it to work did take like some rearranging and restructuring.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. Actually, it's a little reassuring. I think stories that have kind of an element of prophecy are sort of timeless. It's something that we see in a lot of much older stories where it's like this is where you know the end before you get there. And what I enjoy about this is and we'll talk more about this after the break, but I love the kind of circular nature of the way you're treating time in it. Um, it's also a very you're playing with a pretty big world. Um, Again, I feel like because it comes in at the beginning, the Reliance, the ship. Um, that's when you first said ship. I was like, oh, is he does he work on an oil rig or something like that? That's where I thought you were going to be headed. And then I was like, oh no, you've just opened up all of that. Was that as a pantser, like when I'm pantsing a story and an idea like that comes up in my brain, a lot of times I'm like, ooh, and get kind of excited. Was that one of the ones that you got that surprised you, or did you know that you were steering towards it?
I think that it definitely excited me. I'm trying to think about if it was surprising. I think it was mainly excitement because, I knew I was dealing with this alien race, I think, from early on. And then I think even now, in the same way that you might remember images from like dreams, they're
Hmm.
almost vivid. It's almost like, but that was a dream. Why did I can I have like a vivid image of just like this overhanging, just overhanging ship. And then like what may be seen between Earth and it, or what you look up, like kind of like a pan out vision
Yeah.
of it, so I that's what I started with, and then the pantser comes in when they're okay, all right, now they're going up into the ship, all right, what is the ship going to look like? I guess we're figuring no.
Yeah. The slight panic. It's like, oh no, this was
Yeah,
a
and
great idea, and
it,
now I have to have additional things.
yeah, and then it's interesting. It didn't come up too much in this because since it's fairly like contained from a physics standpoint, but it's I've written a space story that was also my like ode to Sphere, but it was a space story, and then I was like since first time really going out and like space travel, I was researching all these things like how would gravity work, I was like, this is not possible at all. So, I'm going too much into the details or thinking about it. But I think that there were some aspects as I went and like making the ship. It's like, okay, what are the things that, that I can focus on to kind of bring this to life without getting too much lost in the weeds of like, how's this, actually going to work from like a science perspective. Because if you go in that and if you try to push, there's going to be somebody who's be like, no, 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 you're wrong.
Yeah, trust me, even when you have all of the details right, someone will tell you that it's wrong. I have gotten a lot of those emails. Um, have you thought about exploring this in novel form?
Yes,
Haha.
I have, and I do want to, like, in the future. I think that I think from a lot of different aspects, I think it, um, it resonates with me. Well, I wrote it, but it resonates with me a lot,
Yeah.
like an emotional level. Um, rereading it in preparation for this, I'm proud of how it came out. And I
Hmm.
think that there's a lot there to, for lack of a better term, to play with in the world. Um,
Yeah, that was what I was thinking as well.
yeah.
Um, like a lot of the stories in the collection are very self-contained. kind of some of them are quite claustrophobic, but in the good way. Um, but this one feels like there's so much story around the edges of it. Um, that even if it's not this story, I'm like the world, there's so many opportunities it feels like in there to have to explore. So I'm glad you're at least thinking about it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I'm not knee deep, but maybe like shoulder deep in a project right now.
Are
Uh,
you?
yeah, yeah. Very, very exciting. I mean, this I was, fortunate enough to for this to be a two-book deal.
Oh,
Uh,
that's great.
so so there's a short story collection, and then the novel. I'm finishing the finish line. Most of this year was significant like revisions. I think I have like maybe like a couple more months until I'm at the copy editing stage, knock on wood, and then hoping it'll be out early 2026. But that's been understandably, it's been all of my like
Yeah.
space. Sometimes and my brain does go, it's like, oh, what's the next thing gonna be? And then I'm like, no, focus,
Yeah, right?
focus on
Let's
this.
see that down. No. Okay. Sorry, cat. Um, yeah, no, I know that. And it's that transition in the career from short stories to novels um the it's a different pace. It's a
Yeah.
total different pace. Did you feel pressure to move to novels?
No, so that's been, that's been the dream, for
Okay.
when I started like reading on writing in 2007, between like 2007 and 2009, I wrote like three novels. I have I have my where is it? I can't find it really quickly, but I have the Guide to Literary Agents from 2010.
Oh yeah,
Um so yeah, so I focused more on short stories when I went to med school.
that
It
makes
was
sense.
just, novels is just it's the revision part I'd say the most from what I've seen so far. Like for example, like a short story, it's like you can in one sitting like read the whole thing and put novel. It's a different beast when it comes to. It's harder, I think, in revision to feel as productive when there are like those like, oh, I have an hour here or there.
Yeah.
Whereas like the first drafting, like it's you're adding to it. The revision has definitely been like a different beast, especially being on the other side of like medical school and like having to kind of think more about like my time. But it's
Yeah.
always, the dream has been, a novelist. So I'm very excited, nervous, all those things for this opportunity.
Yeah, no kidding. Short story collections are hard sell. Um, so did you pitch the novel at the same time as the story collection, or was it?
So, it kind of feels like unbelievable talking about it. No, we went out the short story collection. My agent knew that I also had a novel that I've been working on, and we had talked about going out with both of them. But the short story collection was ready. The novel still wasn't quite as ready. But the night before meeting with the editor at HarperCollins, my agent was like, she was asked if you were working on anything else. So, let's prepare to talk about it. And then and I did, and they wanted both.
That's fantastic.
It's been good. It's been good. I'm excited about where it is right now.
Amazing.
That's a lot to
Um,
say because I'm like my own worst critic.
right. No, that is you say you're your own worst critic until you start getting one-star reviews, and then you're like, did you even read this book?
Yeah. I took advice on like not looking too much at so I have for so Goodreads I have my wife Joanna, she'll like send me like the good ones,
Yeah.
but early on I saw that there was like one star and somebody said um the I was getting into the first chapter, then the second chapter is about something completely different, and then the third one's about something completely different.
Short story collection, not novel. Yeah.
And I was like,
I
this will probably always be the best once
That's brilliant.
can't top this.
Um, yeah, I read my 5-star reviews and my 1-star reviews. Um, And then when I am in the right brain space, I will read my 4-star reviews because those are gold, because those are people who really love the novel, but except for
Yeah.
one thing. And that
Yeah.
gives me a, oh, okay, here's a thing that I can work on in my own craft next time. But my 1-star reviews, potty, as Elsie says, I find hilarious how much they hate and how often the thing that they hate is the selling point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, like my favorite for a book called Ghost Talkers, the first line of which is, "The Germans were flanking us at Deville Wood when I died." The 1-star review in its entirety was, "I hate books with ghosts." And I'm like,
He's like, okay.
why did you buy this book?
Pick it up and to review. That's funny.
Like
Funny.
you apparently like, oh my God. Yeah, yeah. So, and then sometimes I'll read 1-star reviews of books that I love just because it's again hilarious, hilarious. I'm like, what did you read?
Yeah. 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 We'll see. I'll see when the novel comes out. It'll be interesting to see like what my relationship with reviews are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so the only other question that I wanted to ask before we go to our little break and then step backstage for the Patreon folks,
Hmm.
um, is again, I don't feel like this is a spoiler because it's right there at the beginning. Uh, the I can't breathe.
Yes. Yes.
Um, was that already in your brain when you were writing, or was that a revision ad? And I realize it's never fair to ask someone these questions when it's like, I don't remember even writing this story.
I'm pretty
2020 is
sure
a while ago.
I'm pretty sure that was there fairly from the beginning. I think that there was a lot that just not uh uh, not just that, but I think that like a lot of the things that was going on, as the kids say, hit different like as a parent,
Hmm.
and so I think from very early on, it was something that I just grapple with from the side of how do I protect my kid from the world? Is that even possible? So I think that was very early on. I think that as going through like the revision and crafting, there's probably like tweaks to how it shows up or what have you. Um, it may even, I think similar to character names. I was talking about this with someone else. Just like
Hmm.
once in a while, I'll like put in like placeholders. It may have been a placeholder that I then, that
Yeah.
was okay. And then there was a decision to like I
Keep it.
probably when I first writing, I was probably like I can't be this
I
deep
can't just use
about it.
this. Yeah.
But then I did, and I forget exactly how it was but I imagine if I had to guess, I imagine I thought of it as like, okay, let me put this in, I can change it later. Um, but then it worked for me.
Yeah, it works really well. And just the different all of the different permutations of how you use it through the story. It's a really, really beautiful story. Ugh, just um, heartbreaking and extremely, extremely lovely. So we're about to go backstage. For those folks who are watching us on YouTube, I encourage you to pick up a copy of Justin's book. Keep your eyes out for the novel when it comes out. And thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, yes. Thanks, everybody.